Hello, everyone. We are so excited that you'll be joining us for final selection activities this week. First, we're going to start off with a few introductions. So I'll go first. My name is David Flowers. I'm in the class of 2021, and I'm a senior this year. I'm currently double majoring in design studies, as well as business administration finance. I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina. I went to Millbrook High School. Currently involved in the university through Musical Empowerment, which is a nonprofit that has a chapter here at NC State. I'm involved in Summit College, which is a Christian organization, as well as I've been really involved in the entrepreneurship community, and was also serving as a part of the student senate for my freshman and sophomore year. In the program, I'm a park ambassador, as well as I'm on the class legacy committee for my individual class. I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Noor.
Thanks, David. Hi, everybody. I'm Noor Shada. I'm from the class of 2022, and I'm from Advance, North Carolina. I'm a criminology and political science double major with a concentration in law and justice and an art studies minor. I'm currently the vice president of American Justice Corps, an org that focuses on the school to prison pipeline through mentorship. I also just studied abroad in Florence, Italy through the University Scholars Program to study art history, which was really great. Within the park program, I'm on the Diversity Student Task Force, and I'm also, I was on the Learning Lab 2 committee. And I'll pass it on to Zach.
Thanks, Noor. Hi, everybody. My name is Zach Van Hecken, and I am in the class of 2023, so I'm a sophomore in the Park Scholarship Program. I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan, so I'm an out-of-state student, and I'm double majoring in chemistry and science education with minors in Spanish and science communications. A couple of the things I'm involved with on campus is I work for the Office of Undergraduate Admissions. I'm part of the University Scholars Program. I'm part of CREW, which is a Christian campus ministry. In addition to that, I'm an alternative service break team leader, which leads trips around the country and around the world on a normal year to serve different communities. And I'm so glad to share my experience and hang out with you guys tonight. And I'm going to pass it on to Darren now.
Okay, hey y'all, my name is Darren Wilkerson, and I'm also in the class of 2023, and I'm from Durham, North Carolina, so not too far. And I'm majoring in fashion and textile design with a concentration in fashion design and a minor in global leadership. In the program, I'm the co-chair of Learning Lab 1, which I'm sure you've heard about and you'll learn more about during Finalists weekend. And I am also on the Park Diversity Task Force. And then in terms of the university, I'm involved with African American Textile Society and Black Artists Coalition. And I'm excited to virtually meet y'all today.
All right, so our agenda tonight, we'll be going over some information about upcoming activities. Mostly we'll be looking at the schedule for final selection activities, evaluative sessions, finalist finale, Cadence, the platform that we'll be using for all of these events, and we will finish off with a Q&A. If at any point you have a question, feel free to type it in the chat and we'll get to it during the Q&A portion.
Awesome. So we're going to jump right in with our final selection activity schedule. And I'm going to kick us off with Thursday's activities, which is 1 week from today, which is kind of crazy. So first, we're going to talk about your 3:30 to 4 o'clock welcoming confetti pop. Eva Fight, the director of our Park Scholarship Program, will welcome you all to the finalist selection activities weekend and go over a few key pieces of information that you guys will need to know about that weekend. If you haven't received it already, you should have been sent a gift box, and during this welcome session, you will be encouraged to open that box. Inside, you'll find some confetti. It's what we call a flick stick, where you're going to puncture the foil on the top and give it a quick flick with your wrist that will release the confetti. If possible, you might want to do this outside because it will probably get messy, and just so you know, everything's completely biodegradable, but it will make a bit of a mess. So I'm going to pass it on to Darren now.
Okay, so after that, from 4 to 5, we'll have the NC State Resources Fair, and there you'll be able to pick and choose which departments on campus you want to hear from. It'll be kind of like a college fair. I know some high schools do a club fair. It's kind of along those same lines, just of course virtually now. And so you'll go to booths, which are like breakout rooms in this case, and you'll find descriptions of each department or resource, a summary, any additional information you'll need, and other support services. And you will have the opportunity to chat with representatives via a Zoom meeting, or if you're having any internet connection, you just don't feel like talking, you can also use the instant message chat function.
Yeah, and then following that from 5 to 6, we'll have our interest groups. So their current park scholars like ourselves will be providing insights into the experiences that we've had, including support and campus resources that are available to you, as well as for different interest groups. It'll take place on Zoom, where you'll be able to choose which group you want to participate in. So there'll be a list of resources that you're able to kind of pick and choose from. So there you'll be selecting a breakout room. You'll be spending approximately 20 minutes in. Then you'll be encouraged to rotate a group, and you'll hear for ultimately a total of 3. We encourage you to continue to switch it up, learn as many things as you can about NC State. But in order to pick your breakout rooms, you'll have to have the newest, most recent version of Zoom downloaded to your computer.
Awesome. So moving on to Friday, the 19th, your morning will start out with college activities. You should attend the college activities for your primary college of interest that's listed on your undergraduate admissions application. If you don't remember or unsure about your primary college, feel free to contact the park office by email, and a staff member will be able to share all that info with you. Each college hosts its own activities, so the length and type of activities will vary, and your parents are welcome to attend these activities. Pass it on to Zach.
From 11 to 1 o'clock, there will be both the chat with Arts NC State and a chat with our park faculty scholars. These chats are instant message chats for you and your family to hear from and that will be in advance of the Saturday session. So you're more than welcome to bring all your questions that you might have to those. For the chat with Arts NC State, you're going to hear from Rich Holly. He is the executive director of the arts at NC State, also in the arts, and will be able to share their perspectives with you as well. For the chat with park faculty scholars, which are the professors that are assigned to each of our class to mentor and guide us, you will not only hear from the class of 2021 park faculty scholars, Dr. Billy Flowers and Dr. Clifford Griffin, but also Dr. Lisa Parks from the class of 2022, Dr. Cindy Edgington and Dr. Canton Reynolds from the class of 2023, and Dr. Susie Goodell from the class of 2024.
And then after that, from 2 to 2:45, you'll have the themed campus tours. And these are all pre-recorded tours by current park scholars. And you'll have 4 different kinds. You'll have the classic, which is like your basic on-campus tour that gives general information about state and its locations. Then you have the scholars one, which is more about the quad and the honors and scholars village. And then you have one more based on the arts at NC State and one about the engineering. And while you're watching these tours, you can ask questions to the park scholars who actually made these videos through the instant message chat feature.
Then following that, from 4 to 4:25, we'll have a finalist reception with the NC State community. So there, you and your parents and guardians will be assigned a virtual table, aka a Zoom room. And there you'll be with another finalist and their family, as well as a couple of NC State faculty, students, or other community members. You'll be able to converse and learn a little bit more about NC State in kind of a smaller environment. Following that, from 4:30 to 5:30, we'll have Keynote Remarks and the Chancellor welcome. So you'll hear from Chancellor Randy Woodson, the program director Eva Fight, and 2 distinguished park alumni, Leanne Gonsalves and Tommy Vitolo.
From 8 to 8:30 p.m. that night, we're going to have our fireside chat with the director and the guides. So like what the title says, this is going to take place over Zoom. You're going to hear from Eva about what to expect on Saturday, and you're going to get to meet your Saturday guides, those people who will be your point of contacts during that day, who are also current park scholars. These guides should also be reaching out to you within the next week via email to introduce themselves to you.
Okay, next it'll be Saturday morning, and you will be split into 7 groups, and this will dictate your schedule. So I'm about to list out all the activities, but this is not the order your activities will go necessarily. These are just all of them. Your schedule will be given to you individually, and that'll be the order your activities are in. So the first one we have is the Taste of the Arts at NC State. This is an introduction to the various art departments, such as music, which includes vocal and instrumental. It also includes drama, theater, and dance. And speaking of dance, it'll also be followed by some dance performances at the end of that activity. And then you'll be introduced to the park faculty scholars. So you'll hear from 2 park faculty scholars from the class of 2021, and you'll hear from current seniors about how they've benefited from the experience of having a park faculty scholar. And then you'll also go to the Park Scholar panel. You'll have a Park alum there, 2 current Park Scholars, and a student or alum that was selected as a Park finalist and attended NC State even though they did not receive the scholarship. And then you will also hear the impact of just not the Park Scholarship, but the impact of attending NC State in general. And then this will be time for you to hear about what you can do at the university and how that can influence what you'll do once you've graduated. And this is a great opportunity to ask any and all questions you've had. This is a very diverse panel that will give you a good perspective on anything you possibly want to know about state or the Park Scholarship Program. And then after that, you'll have the Park Experience, which is a conversation with the director, Eva Feit, as we mentioned before. And you will have an open conversation with her about the program and the university. Again, a great place to ask any question you have. And then you'll also have the group discussion, task, and interview, which brings us to our next session about your evaluative sessions.
All right, so your evaluative sessions take place after all this, and the interview is very much like your semifinalist interview. You'll be interviewed by 3 to 4 faculty and alumni. The questions asked will be focused on behavioral things, focusing on what you have already done. And the group discussion task, you'll be at the small group of finalists, and you'll be given a prompt or problem, and as a group, you'll work to find a solution. There will be 4 Park alumni in the meeting with you to observe and evaluate this. It's extremely important for you to know that these are the only 2 activities in which you will be evaluated. I know it's hard to go into this weekend thinking anything other than you're being watched the entire time, but that will not be the case, and we can't emphasize that enough. Just take a breath and try and enjoy yourself. We just want to get to know you, so be yourself. And this weekend is a time for you to ask questions and learn more about the program and university. Most importantly, it is a time for you to have fun and get to know us while we get to know you. I'll pass it on to Zach.
Awesome, thanks, Nor. We also wanted just to mention that if you have any issues throughout any of these experiences, we're sorry we didn't mention this earlier, but please email us at park_scholars@ncsu.edu. Because there will always be someone there to answer that question for you. I'm also supposed to apologize for the chat that it's not working. So we're really sorry about that. And if you have any questions, go ahead and email them to park_scholars@ncsu.edu. And then we will answer those questions at the end of our live stream today. I'm going to move into our finalist finale now, which is our Sunday, February 21 activities. From 1:30 to 1:50, you will meet your host and discuss which activities you want to participate in. We have a wide variety of activities, and hopefully your host has already reached out to you, and if not, I'm sure they will by the 15th is when we're supposed to reach out. Then there will be 2 rounds of activities from 2 o'clock to 2:45 and 3 o'clock to 3:45. This includes 3 escape rooms, with the themes being Hogwarts, Spy's Apprentice, and Escape from Wonderland. There will be Among Us, like the game, except this time you'll meet live with your crewmates and imposters, an NC State and Park Scholarship themed Kahoot, and chats with snacks, where you can simply hang out with other finalists to talk about your experiences during finalist selection activities. Feel free to bring snacks included in the gift box or any of your favorite snacks to that activity. From 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, we're going to have live tours of Centennial, Central, and North campuses. Like the interest groups on Thursday, you're going to be able to select a breakout room that will take you to a different part of each campus. Current scholars will be stationed at these points and can show you around via Zoom there. This is kind of a choose your own adventure, and you can also make requests to see other parts of the particular area of campus that you're stationed in if the scholar isn't showing them to you already. And then 5:05 to 5:15, we're going to have our conclusion, and we're going to send you on our way and hope that you had an incredible finalist weekend.
So now we're going to talk a little bit about Cadence, which is what you should be using to do all these activities and your interviews. So all of you should already have access to Cadence for your semifinal interview. So y'all are already ahead of the game. You should already have that. And if you have any issues, as in you've lost access or something, please feel free to email Park Scholarship Office and we can get you back onto Cadence. And so the final selection activities are much more in depth, and the platform is very intuitive to that. And so on a Friday, you'll receive a welcome email similar to the one you received in December, and this will provide you with the event links. You can access everything. And once you get inside of Cadence, you will not immediately be able to see your schedule, which should be in the My Schedule bar on the left. And these will not be filled out until next week, right before the activities begin. You will have access to a few things, though. This will include the NC State Resources Fair, any college activities, and the finalist finale. So you'll be able to see those things, but not your schedule. And while you enter the Zoom meetings for these activities, no one will be on the receiving end until the actual scheduled event. So there's no need to go into there and expect to see somebody. And in the case of NC State Resources Fair and college activities, you can browse around, watch any of the on-demand content, and read any of the information listed there. So those, again, will be available to you. And then during the final selection activities, to access the instant message chat we were referring to earlier, you'll see a speech bubble in the top right-hand corner when you're in an event. You can click on it and it will expand and show the various messaging channels that you can use for different activities. And this is where you can locate the chats for the Arts NC State, the Park Faculty Scholars, any of the themed tours, and the finalist only chat where you guys can speak to each other. And you'll also be encouraged to take advantage of the live feed, which is listed on the main menu. And you can post pictures, GIFs, messages, kind of like Instagram or Twitter. And you can talk to each other there as well. It doesn't just have to be the finalist only chat.
Alrighty, that is all we have for you about your schedule and kind of what you can expect for finalist weekend. We'll now enter into a time of questions. We do know that the chat is not working at this moment. We apologize for that. If you do have a question, we can answer it now if you email us at park_scholars@ncsu.edu. And once we get that email in, then we'll answer it live on here. So at the moment, we have one current question, and it is, when do we get our schedules for Saturday? So tomorrow you will actually receive access to Cadence and to the schedules. They will begin appearing over the next few days. So if it's not there immediately, don't worry. It will pop up eventually. And yeah, so you can expect to get that in the next few days.
All right. So while these questions are coming in, we're just going to each go around and kind of give a little background to our experiences. Oh, well, we just got a question. Oh, just kidding. Sorry, false alarm. We're going to keep sharing these experiences. So I know one thing that everybody emphasizes, but is very true because it's very important, is a lot of people ask, like, what do they expect with the interviews? Like, what can I do to make sure like it's right for me or anything like that? Everybody says it, but it's true. You just be yourself. We were just looking for people who are authentic and really just want to share their stories and their backgrounds and identities that they hold important to them. And that's one of the most important things that we can tell you. If there's anything you get out of all of this, it is really, really true to be true to yourself. So I'll pass it on to Zach if you would like to share anything.
Yeah, the only other piece of advice, I loved what you said, Noor, was keep in mind our pillars, because those are the things that the Park Scholarship Program really holds dear. So when you're thinking about things that you might want to talk about prior to your interview, think about, scholarship, leadership, service, and character, and how they've played into your life, and how you want them to continue to play into your life if in the future, whether you're at NC State or not. So I think that's just important to think about and really reflect on prior to your interview and your group discussion task. I don't know if Darren has anything else to add to that.
Yeah, I have something to add to that. I know I'm a talker when I get nervous, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. And obviously, while doing finalist weekend, it's not the same. We could go physically talk to other finalists because this is a unique experience, and y'all are the only ones who are experiencing it right then and there and can talk to each other about it and really empathize. But I would really work on the chat and the main group so that you can talk to each other to help relax you, and also just to speak to someone who's going through the exact same thing as you at the same time. That will really relax you. And also, if you're having a good time, it's less nerve-wracking. Like, if you make it fun, like literally force yourself to feel fun, it'll be less relaxing. That includes during the interviews, in between the interviews, during any of the activities. If you really think about the fun part of it instead of, oh my God, I'm so stressed, then it'll come easier to you to relax and just talk about yourself and have fun.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think like one piece of advice I'd have as well is just to remember that everyone else there and participating in the finalist weekend activities it's not a competition. Rather, there are a lot of people there that are also willing to become friends. I met a lot of people at finalist weekend that I live with or that I became really good friends with. And so I would encourage you just to get to know the people that you're interacting with and ask them questions about their lives and get to know a little bit more about who they are, because you never know, they might end up being your roommate or one of your really good friends down the line.
That's a great point, David. I know, my roommate's also a Park Scholar, and a lot of my friends are Park Scholars too, and I met them at finalist weekend. So that's a really great piece of advice. We have another question that came in that says, are Park Scholars invited to join both the Honors and Scholars program or just one? So the answer to that question is yes, Park Scholarship finalists are invited to join either the Honors or the Scholars program. So you can join just one of those two, and you are not automatically put in one. It's a decision to you. During finalist weekend, there will be a whole session on the Honors and Scholars program, which I would encourage you to attend if you're kind of debating between those two. Also, if you have more specific questions, you can definitely contact their office. I know I've had an incredible time in the Scholars program, but I know plenty of people that have loved the Honors program as well. So that's definitely something to think about and maybe tune into during finalist selection activities to learn more about.
Okay, we have another question from Ben T. The question is, how will the PARC program aid us in bringing a new club to state? And also, are there opportunities at NC State for undergraduate research or to help professors conduct their research? So in terms of, actually did create a new club, Black Artists Coalition. It's his first year. And in terms of the PARC program, there's obviously PARC faculty scholars who can help. I feel like professors are more helpful in this field. And they're also, if you end up getting a faculty mentor, they're also very helpful with creating a club because they already have the connections and they know also how to do appropriations, which is the funding for the club we would bring in. So I would say the PARC faculty mentor you will pick and the PARC faculty scholars for the whole entire class will be very, very helpful in you bringing a new club to state and help you make a connection with the office that does those clubs. And then in terms of opportunities at NC State for undergraduate research, we have an undergraduate research office that also has a website that you can look through that'll give you all the information you need about undergraduate research. And in order to help professors conduct their research, that you can also go there for that. That'll also have that kind of information.
Alrighty, so I just got an update that the chat is currently working. So I would encourage you to refresh your page if you haven't already. And then you can start chatting in there and asking questions there as well. And while you're doing that, we have another question that I'll answer. And it's, would you be able to provide any clarification on what interviewers might be looking for during the group interview or what the group interview will entail? So I'll go ahead and say I don't know what the group interview will entail for this year, but it will be kind of an evaluation that you'll do with 3 to 4 other Park Scholars. So you'll be, or potential Park Scholars, will be working together to solve a problem. It's never anything that that you won't be able to answer. And I would just encourage you to know that like your answer is not being graded. So if you come up with an answer that you're not proud of, at the end of the day, that's not the solution that they're looking for. What they're really looking for is for you to work with others and kind of see how you might be working in there. Again, like I have not been given any of the details as to the selection criteria or what other individuals are looking for. But I would encourage you to go in there and be yourself and treat others well. So.
Yeah, our next question is from Sarah, and it's very similar. What is your biggest tip for the virtual group activity? Basically reiterating everything that David said, and really just like be a team player. You're not all there to be competitive. It's not a competition, and just try your best. And honestly, going into it, we really don't know, like no one really knows except Park themselves. So just try your best and you should do great.
Awesome. Our next question is regarding the dinner table and what to expect at that virtual dinner table. So basically you and your family will be with another finalist and their family, as well as a couple community members, whether that's NC State professors, Park Scholars, Park Scholarship alumni, any of those could be at your table. And this is just a time for open conversation. So it could just be you want to talk with the other finalists about how they're doing, how they've enjoyed final selection activities so far, or maybe that's going to be more of a networking opportunity for you and the other community member that's at your table. It's really what you make of it, and it's a super low stress type of situation.
Okay, our next question is from Amy. She asks, can you be a part of the Honors Scholars Program without living in the village? Yes, 100%. You do not have to live in the village to be part of either the Honors and Scholars Program. They're super understanding of the fact that you don't have to live there to be a part of the program. So no, you do not have to live in the quad to be a part of either of those programs.
Awesome. Our next question is from Adriana. What are some questions that will be asked? Are they all going to be behavioral questions or general questions as well? So we don't know what your interviewers are going to ask, but yes, usually the questions just range from behavioral and focusing on things that you've done in your life, and things that you could have talked about in your application, just various things about who you are. Some general questions maybe as well, just like what you'd like to study, things like that. But we don't know specifically what they will be asking you. Your interviewers will know that, but mainly they just focus on you and all the activities that you've done. All right.
Awesome. So I have another question of why did you want to be a Park Scholar? That's such a great question. And I'll answer this one. And I also want to open it up to the other scholars on this one if they want to answer as well, because I think this is something we can kind of all have different stories and different things that we can attest to on this. But personally, I wanted to be a part of a community that appreciated academic growth, wanted to be leaders, wanted to be change makers. And I think that the Park Scholarship community has really provided that. They've provided me with great support when I've needed it. And they've also provided me with a great group of people that I know that I will be friends with for a very long time and that I know will support me if I need that. So I think that that is one of the great reasons why I want to be a Park Scholar. Obviously, the funding that comes with being a Park Scholar is a big reason why I applied, but the community has proven to be an extremely valuable element of the Park Scholarship. And I'm going to pass it on to anyone else who might want to answer this question too.
Yeah, I'll take a stab at it. I wanted to be a Park Scholar. Obviously, the financial part of it is important. Nobody likes to be in debt, but it's also important to know that, like, speaking as to what he was saying, having those common values, it seems so simple, but even just outside this organization, having organizations that have a strong focus on academics or in building up communities and making a change, a lot of inspiring things happen there. And they also just inspire you to be better. Like I noticed a lot when I was going through the finalists and semifinalist interviews, how tight they were and how they checked up on each other and inspired each other to go harder at something they're doing or to let go of something that's really toxic for them and so on and so forth. And so I feel like that support and also that knowledge that they have from wisdom and going through college, especially with upperclassmen, was very special to me.
Yeah, I can add on to that. I think especially something that's especially important being a park is also you're not only a park in your class, but you're part of a huge network. A lot of park alumni are everywhere, all over. And being a park scholar, you can really form connections with what you want to do, your passions with other parks who were in similar positions. So I feel like that's something that I found to be really important, as well as the opportunities that are included with park, like park enrichment grants. One of the most life-changing experiences for me was studying abroad in Italy with the help of a park enrichment grant. So they're really a stepping stone to help you achieve all the dreams you had just going into college, but elevated. And I can pass it on to David if you'd like to add.
Yeah, I can round this one out. So I guess it's been a few years since I was a senior in high school as well. But I think why I wanted to be a park scholarship kind of rendered itself in the park program. And a lot of that is community, kind of what Zach was talking about a little bit earlier on. I think the park community is really special. Obviously, you can find incredible people no matter where you end up, but particularly the individuals in the park program have been really inspiring to me. They've been incredible support networks, and yeah, just been really incredible people. I've worked on projects and companies with a few of them. I'm working on an AR project right now with a former park scholar who has since graduated. It's just an incredible opportunity to meet really like-minded people that will both challenge your views, challenge your beliefs, as well as really push you to be the best scholar best service leader and have as much character as possible. It's a really incredible opportunity.
Okay, we have another question from Adriana, and her question is, when should we know the results of the Park Scholarship selection activities? You should know by March 5th. You'll receive an email similar to the Park semifinalist interviews where you got the congratulations. That kind of email is essentially what you'll receive again.
Alrighty, so our next question is, as a Park Scholar, are you able to live off campus? And is this something that the scholarship helps fund? Short answer, yes. So I'm actually living off campus right now. I live with 3 other Park Scholars, but in a townhouse set up with quite a few others. So Park pays for the amount of money that will end up costing for tuition. So whatever would cost you to live on campus, that's the amount of money you will get for 4 years or 8 semesters. So essentially you will have funds to be able to live off campus or live wherever you desire throughout your time at NC State.
So the next question from Sarah, will the interview be the same amount of time as the semifinalist interview? Yes, it should be about 20 to 30 minutes.
Awesome. Next question, are Park finalists who do not win the scholarship involved with the Park program at all? Not really. The people involved in the Park scholarships really are the people who are awarded the Park scholarship. But I have plenty of friends that are not Park scholars. And I think that if you make friends at finalist weekend and you're not awarded the Park, I think that you can still maintain those friendships with those people. I don't think that that has to change. But if you have specific questions about that, we do have a finalist that will be speaking during the Saturday activities on the Park Scholarship panel, who was in that situation where he was a finalist and was not awarded a Park Scholarship, but still chose to come to NC State. The only other area that I can think of that people who aren't awarded the Park Scholarship can be involved is in future years, spend the night hosts are generally, we do have some that are not Park scholarships, Park Scholarship recipients, but I think for the most part, it really is the Park Scholars that are involved in the Park Scholarship program.
Okay, our next question is from Benjamin Tui. I apologize if I pronounce your last name wrong. And his question was, I would love to hear about some of your experiences with the clubs or other student organizations on campus. And after my answer, all of y'all can take a stab at it because we're all in clubs and organizations. So with mine, one of the clubs I did was already established and I came in, and I feel like a lot of clubs at State, even if they are like volunteer-based or they're specifically scholarship-based and academic or interest-based, they focus a lot on the community aspect. I know when I joined the African American Textile Society at first, the first like 2 meetings are just getting to know each other and really creating a bond so that we could go on to do community service work, which was the main part of that club. So I found that very helpful. And then also I helped start a club with Black Artists Coalition. I found that experience also very helpful as well. And also being on the e-board of any state organization is incredibly helpful. The office that handles all of your money and all the legal procedures are incredibly helpful. They make it so simple to be on the e-board or to start a club. And I found that very helpful because not a lot of places make it that easy to start a club or to manage a club.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
So the next question is, what is the thing you are most proud of accomplishing through the Park Scholarship?
Hey, David, can we quickly go back and answer Darren's question?
For sure.
Go around the room and answer that? No
yeah,
worries.
Yeah, you got it. All right, I'll start off with that one. So I guess I'm involved in Musical Empowerment, which is a nonprofit that focuses on educating low-income students in elementary school and middle school with music, with the idea of inspiring them to continue on with their education. So I'm in charge of instrument lending and also head up finance for the club. It's been an incredible time and actually got involved through it because of Park and the Civic Engagement Initiative that takes place during your sophomore year. I've also been in Student Senate, so if you have any questions about student government or what it's like to run as a freshman and a sophomore, I'd be happy to talk on that, either in one of the breakout rooms later on throughout the weekend, or if you have a question in the chat as well.
I think for me, the largest organization I've been a part of is Service Raleigh. I'm a co-head for our community involvement committee right now. And basically Service Raleigh is the largest day of service in the Triangle area, which is Chapel Hill, Durham, and Raleigh, where we bring a bunch of people to campus and we send them out into the community to serve during that day. That is a Goodnight Scholarship, Park Scholarship co-led event. They are the kind of the two big sponsors behind that. So if you're looking to involved in an extracurricular that Parks kind of involved in regulating, there's both Service Raleigh and Krispy Kreme Challenge, which I have not been involved with, but a lot of people do love to get involved with that if they're a Park Scholar.
Awesome. We're still sharing about clubs. Yes, so basically one of the most meaningful organizations that I've come to be a part of is the American Justice Corps, which really changed my perspective on so many things sophomore year. So the American Justice Corps is a mentorship program where college students are selected to work with suspended high school students from AMI Kids in Wake County. And it's truly been an amazing experience getting to know everybody, and just we help with interview help, application processes, and things like that. And also just being involved with Park a lot of the time. I'm also on the diversity task force with, as Darian mentioned, and basically we work to try and make Park as diverse and open as possible. And a lot of times you can be involved with Park, or you can be involved with orgs off campus, such as I mentioned.
Alrighty. So with that, we enter into the question that I was about to ask, but forgot to move back. So the question is, what is the thing that you are most proud of accomplishing through the Park Scholarship? My favorite thing that I've remembered or that I've accomplished, that's a tough question right there. I think I can talk about some of the cool experiences that I've had. I think those are pretty cool accomplishments. So I actually got to study abroad in Australia through a PEG grant. It was an incredible experience. I got to meet roughly like 10 other state students while in Australia. We explored Adelaide, Sydney, and Melbourne. So Park actually helped fund that trip, and it gave me the Park Enrichment Grant, which is essentially something that you apply for as a Park Scholar. You're then in a various processes with the Park faculty scholars within your class. So it's similar to a grant you'd write for funding in the education system. So you can get up to $1,000 depending on what it is that you're looking to achieve. That was I don't know if it's quite an accomplishment, but something that changed my outlook on the world and my college experience.
So the next question is, did anyone else want to share before I move on, if they've had any experiences?
I can share one. This is very small in the grand scheme of things, but something that I've been able to do through the Park Scholarship is just find a major that I love. And while that's not like something big or grand, but like for me it was, I came into NC State as a double major in engineering, and I think through the Park Scholarship and through all the mentorship that goes through the Park Scholarship, whether it's peer mentors or your Park faculty mentor, Park faculty scholars, I was able to kind of figure out my way of what I want to do the rest of my life and kind of align my major to that. So I do think that was definitely a big accomplishment for me when finding something that I'm passionate about.
Awesome. So the next question is from Benjamin. Speaking of the Park Network, can you all talk a little bit about Spiffy and your experience with it? So I'll start off and then we can all share our experiences. Spiffy has been fantastic. You really get to see parks from the beginning of when Park began and see where they are, what they're doing now, and you have like all their email and contact information. So it's really easy to get in touch with anybody. I've been in touch with people. I've been in touch with a park who did my same study abroad program. So she and I had a nice conversation before I headed off there. And most recently, I actually got to speak with Brandon Buskey from the class of 2002, who currently works for the Criminal Law Reform Project at the ACLU. And he was very helpful in talking about my career path and just being at State in general. So you really can find people for any type of interest or question that you may have to speak with. And usually they're all very open to talking to you, and it's really a great experience.
I can also speak on the different classes working together. My Funny Enough, I Finalists weekend, I met a senior at the time. She's graduated now, and she was in the same major and concentration as me. And she was incredibly helpful because my major is a doozy. And she gave me so many supplies and old textbooks and help and guided me through all the projects so far. And she was just incredibly helpful. And I even come back to her sometimes to hear about, how the industry is going and how I can learn more about the industry, get an internship possibly. So she's really helped me throughout every step in terms of like my major that I could go through so far.
Yeah, for myself, Spiffy's been an incredible resource. First, I reached out to a lot of individuals with the same major that I have now when I was trying to figure out, what I wanted to do for my major and my time at State. And so ultimately, I called and chatted on the phone with with a lot of people that had already been in their career, and they helped me kind of sort out, what was the trajectory that I wanted to take, and they really helped lead me in that decision making process. It was an incredible resource that I still use those individuals to chat with, kind of bounce ideas off of. They review my portfolio and just give me sound feedback when I need it the most.
I was also going to say, I mean, I've done plenty of interactions with Spiffy, and I've absolutely loved being able to have access to that platform. But if you're chosen to be a PARC in your freshman seminar, it's actually a requirement for one of your assignments that you reach out to some alumni, because A, we like to keep our alumni engaged, and B, because they want to connect with you. So I think that that's really big. I've reached out to 3 or 4 alumni since my time here and just asked about different internship opportunities or where they would suggest I would look for those types of things and what got them to their career field. So I do think that that's definitely something to think about too. So next question is, do different classes of PARC work collaboratively? Yes and no. I think that in terms of collaboratively, we have joint class meetings during our PARC block, which is kind of our class time, where 2 classes will meet up together, share information. Generally, the older classes doing mentoring, different things along those lines. But I do think that the older classes of PARC scholars really serve as mentors more than collaborators. At least in my experience, that's how it's been. If you're chosen as a PARC scholar, you get to go on a freshman retreat, and your freshman retreat facilitator will be an older PARC scholar. If you choose to enroll in our peer mentorship program, you're going to have an older PARC scholar mentoring you there. So there's just tons of places where the older PARC scholars are kind of in that facilitation and mentorship position. Not to say that they don't want to collaborate with you, because I work with a lot of older PARC scholars on different projects and more extracurricularly. But I do think like within the PARC scholarship program, they're definitely more of a mentorship aspect.
Okay, our next question is from Madeline S. Their question is, if you could go back, would you do anything different? It's a loaded question. So I would say I would have changed a lot of things from my semifinalist interview that I did end up changing in my finalists. That's what my answer would be. I would say in my semifinalists, I talked way too fast because my heart was beating so fast. So I talked very fast. And I also, what I said, I would have liked my answers to be more concise because I personally have a bad habit of having roundabout interview answers. And I eventually changed that in my finalists, but I would say that's a thing I would go back and do differently about my semifinalists that I did, thank God, fix in my finalists. So that would be my answer to that question.
All righty. Our next question is, in your opinion, what makes the PARC Scholarships program special? So I'll start with this, and then maybe we could each kind of share a little bit about our own take on this question. So what makes the PARC Scholarships program special to me? I think this is something I've touched on a little bit. It has to be the community for me. I have a ton of friends in this class. So my class in particular is 40 individuals, and we have a very close-knit group that really I've been able to rely on throughout my entire college career. And it's been been really special. In addition to that, I used to play racquetball every Monday with 3 Park scholars that were 2 years older than me. So I got to know them really well, and they kind of took me under their wing and kind of showed me the ropes. And it was an incredible time at State. But yeah, the community is really special. You find a lot of innovators, a lot of really intelligent, creative people that push you and really drive you to succeed and just be your best self.
I would say another thing that makes the Park Scholarship Program very special is personally the opportunities they give you, like with Learning Lab 1 and 2, and the PEGs, which you could take that as any opportunity you can make out of it. I find, and the Civic Engagement Opportunity Initiative, which is what I'm doing right now because I'm a sophomore. I found those opportunities, while there are things that you're forced, in quotation marks, to do, they're very things we wanted to do anyway. And on top of that, there are opportunities that we can mold ourselves. So for example, the Learning Lab 1, you get to pick the topic in the scope of North Carolina to work on. In our class, we did inequality in housing, which is something a lot of us care about and want to learn more about, which makes it a very interesting opportunity to go speak to people in North Carolina who work in the issue, want to improve it and make a change on it like we do. And then also with the Civic Engagement Initiative, I could work with a few of my peers to create a volunteer or service project that we all really cared about. With my case, we're working with the Raleigh Girls Club to help inspire Black girls to look at different career paths and not just think of the basic cookie cutter lawyer, doctor, engineer, and really find career paths that they enjoy genuinely. And I really care about that, and so do some of my peers. And it was a really great opportunity for Park to give us to have a chance to go work on that together, which I found very valuable.
Yeah, kind of going off that point as well with our class, I think Learning Lab 1 and Learning Lab 2 were very important experiences, especially Learning Lab 2. Our class focused on mass incarceration. So you hopefully we'll get to go up to DC and speak with many influential and scholars from all over DC who are experts on the topic that you choose. So that was a really incredible experience. I think also one of the most unique things about Park is while you're doing all of these activities and meeting with your class, you really get to know the people around you and their stories and their identities, and going on these trips and doing all these things together. You not only get to know each other as students, but as friends, and you also get to talk about your various just life stories. That may sound cheesy, but I think that's also one of the most important things I've seen.
The thing that I talk about was very special about Park is that there's no major requirement. And I think that that is extremely special because you get an extreme diversity in majors. And I think that that provides a lot of incredible collaboration in your class, and a lot of different perspectives too. I know that like my class for our Learning Lab 2, we're studying equity and access to education. And myself being an education major, that's something I'm super passionate about. But then I get introduced to new topics that I would have never even thought about from someone who might be an engineering or science major or something along those lines. So I do think that that provides incredible context, and you're allowed to change your major once you're in Park. So like I talked about before, I've changed my major plenty of times, and I think that that's beautiful because Park wants you to succeed and wants you to do what you love to do. So I think that's really what makes Park unique.
Awesome. So our next question is, are there any opportunities to meet other finalists prior to the group activity? So groups for Saturday will be emailed by guides, and that will be an open opportunity to connect with there should be about 15 other finalists. Everybody will be in that group email. Hosts will also be reaching out if you're participating in the finalist finale, and that may also give you an opportunity to meet and talk with other finalists if the host is working with multiple finalists as well. All the activities will give you some opportunities to meet other finalists throughout the whole weekend. The dinner will have other finalists. You'll have other finalists at the table. On Saturday, there'll be a room for finalists to talk and a channel for the instant message chats like we talked about before. and again, the finalist finale. So throughout the whole weekend, you will have many opportunities to talk and get to know one another and share your experiences as everything's going on.
Okay, and our next question, which I invite all of us to answer, and it's from Ethan, and their question was, what is one piece of advice you would give an upcoming college student? I'm going to try to keep mine quick because there's a lot. And I say schedules are so important, especially with online school. Google Calendar, task apps, all of that will be your next holy grail as you're moving from college, high school to college. It is beyond helpful to have everything on there for you to visually see, whether you write it down or do it online, either one, whatever works for you, just have a schedule. It is so important. Procrastination isn't funny anymore when your major is at risk, when your degree is at risk. So schedule is so important. And another piece of advice I would have is something I've learned especially is not to get too wrapped up in your major. A lot of times we find the major we finally love and we're like, okay, I'm just gonna do homework now. And I love everything we're doing. And you get stuck doing homework all day. Please don't do that. There are other things to do outside of your major that you can still enjoy, have hobbies, meet with friends outside of your major, that kind of stuff. Don't make your whole college experience about you solely just doing your major.
Yeah, those are great points. I think also something I wish I could tell myself, go back in time and tell myself, is to really take a break. Transitioning from high school to college is not easy, and do not be hard on yourself when everything doesn't click into place. And really focus on your mental health. Your mental health is a priority. Take care of yourself. Make sure that you're giving yourself breaks and time to process these things that are happening in your life. Also, make sure that you can find your safe spaces on campus. I think that it can be incredibly important, whether that be through a friend group, in or out of park, through people you meet through class or orgs on campus, and various institutions around campus. Just finding a place where you feel like you can truly be yourself, and having an outlet like that for you, I feel like is very important. Yeah, I could pass it on.
When I think about this, I think what I always tell everybody when I get this question asked during admission sessions is just get involved and get to know as many people right off the bat as you can. I think that people will sometimes not want to meet tons of people because it is scary. And I think that finalist weekend kind of opened my eyes to, it's not as scary as it may seem, but it definitely is a daunting task to try and get to know as many people as you can. And then once you find your people, try and develop meaningful relationships. I think that that's kind of been like what Nora was talking about, my safe space. Like my friends are my safe space. So trying to develop those meaningful relationships with them has been everything for me. And I think that I'm very excited for the future because I know that I've put the time in there. And just like anything, good things take time. So I think that that's some things to consider when you're wherever you end up, whether it's NC State or not.
Yeah, I think for myself, it would be okay with change. For myself, I changed majors 2 or 3 times my freshman year alone. So be okay with coming in and getting your plan changed a little bit. I think that's like a really beautiful thing about university, is the fact that you learn a lot about yourself, as well as you kind of figure out what it is that you want to dedicate all of your time to. So I would encourage you to not be too fixated on what your plan going in is, but really kind of dive deep in and figure out what you want to become while you're there. So I'm going to go ahead and ask that if you have any final questions, you go ahead and submit those in the chat now as we're nearing the end of our time. But with that being said, I'll go ahead and answer this question. How easy is it to navigate the campus, and what residence halls might be the most preferred for freshmen? This is a good question. I think campus is pretty easy to navigate once you've been there for a week. The first time you go to class might be a little bit difficult, but there are during the first week when you first move in, there'll be individuals there to be able to escort you around and show you where your classes are, or where your friends might be staying in their other dorm rooms. So don't worry about navigating the campus. If anything, you can use Google Maps or one of the many affiliate apps that NC State provides. As far as residence halls go, I stayed in Sullivan my freshman year and Regala my sophomore year. So I really enjoyed living on campus. I think it's a really cool time to be around so many individuals that are your age all the time. It just really depends on what you're looking for. So if you want to be in a village, you're going to be in the village that you apply for in that specific dorm. Otherwise, you really can't go wrong with any of the residence halls. I really enjoyed where I stayed. I know others that they really enjoyed Honor Squad and wherever they may be. Actually, so we have run out of time. So I'm going to pass it on to Zach for our closing remarks.
Wait, we actually have one more question that just came in.
Oh, sweet.
It's all good. Sarah, how do you feel the Park Scholarship will benefit you beyond college? I think one of the most important things that we mentioned before is your network. You will have a network that will follow you forever as a Park Scholar, not only with your class, but just all Park Scholars around. And I really think the experiences that you build through Park are really beneficial. As Darren talked about with Learning Lab 1 and Learning Lab 2, and the Civic Engagement Initiative, those are really cemented in many of your experiences before, during, and after Park. All right, and anybody else would like to answer real quick?
I'd say another thing really quick is the leadership academies are extremely helpful in terms of learning how to work with others who might not be like you, and also just learning leadership skills. While usually entry-level jobs don't demand you to be the leader immediately, it's still very helpful to know and to come into a job interview or internship and already know how to work with others very well and how to eventually lead.
Cool. Well, I'm going to close this out today. Unfortunately, we're at the end of our session. We are so thankful that you all were able to join us today for this session, and we look forward to seeing you next week for finalist selection activities. In the meantime, if you guys have any questions whatsoever, you can connect with your Saturday Guides, finalist finale host, or you can call or email the Park Scholarships office, because we are more than happy to answer any questions you guys could possibly have. So once again, thank you for joining us, and congratulations once again for making it to this stage of the Park Scholarship process. I hope you all have a great night.
Woo! Congrats.